This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're headed to the city of Porto. According to the Svarim, the city is called Porto. And in this context, I want to tell you about the life of one of the greatest Chachamim that lived in Portugal, Rabbi Avraham Saba. Rabbi Avraham Saba was born in Spain in 1440. He passes away in 1508. By the way, 1508 is the year of the passing of the Abarbanel. So immediately you see that he lived through the time of the Spanish expulsion. And in fact, the tragic story of Rabbi Avraham Saba is really the illustration of inhumanity that could be perpetrated in the name of religion. Rabbi Avraham is born in Castile, was a student of Rabbi Yitzchak de Leon, who instructed him in Kabbalah. By the time of the Inquisition, Rabbi Avraham Saba was already 52 years old. Rabbi Avraham Saba flees Spain, he comes to Portugal, and he comes to Porto. The city we're about to go to was the city where Rabbi Avraham Saba came. He was looking for a safe haven, but it was not meant to be. Now, in his first peaceful years in Portugal, in Porto, Rabbi Avraham completed his momentous commentary on the Chumash. What is it called? Srar Hamor. And his commentary on the Megillah, which is called Eshkol HaKoifer, and also a commentary on Pirkei Avos. As we mentioned, in 1496 the Jews are expelled from Portugal, but King Emanuel had a terrible surprise in store for the Jews of Portugal. As we mentioned, on the first day of Pesach, and according to the account of Rabbi Zechariah Fendel, all Jewish children below the age of 18 were kidnapped and baptized. Rabbi Avraham had his two sons taken away from before his eyes, kidnapped, baptized, and he never saw them again. But that was not all. Rabbi Avraham had a very extensive library of manuscripts, of handwritten ancient documents and svarim. They were confiscated and burnt publicly in Lisbon, together with thousands of other svarim. So he's bereft of his children, distraught about his life's collection. He flees to Lisbon with a secret treasure. The secret treasure is his personal manuscripts of the Tzror Hamor and the Eshkol HaKoifer. One day, Rabbi Avraham's family tells him his secret has been revealed. If he will not destroy his manuscripts, he's jeopardizing his life. So with a broken heart, he digs a grave. He buried the Tzror Hamor and the Eshkol HaKoifer and all of his chidushim. When we go to Lisbon, we're going to be looking for the chidushim of Rabbi Avraham Saba. He buried it under an olive tree. And Doego is going to be showing us all the olive trees in Lisbon. We're going to be looking for the chidushim of Rabbi Avraham Saba. So you say, did Rabbi Avraham Saba ever rewrite his chidushim? Yes. So what happened was, he buries the chidushim under an olive tree. He writes in the introduction to the Eshkol HaKoifer on Megillas Esther that he was then subsequently imprisoned with other Talmidei Chachamim. One of the sages he was imprisoned with was forced to convert. The sage would not convert, and he died al Kiddush Hashem. And after 6 terrifying months in prison, Rabbi Avraham Saba manages to escape. He escapes from Portugal, and with his last remaining son Yitzchak, where does he go? To Fez, where he rewrote Tzror Hamor from memory. However, he says because of his age and his memory and the tsaros, he did not restore all of his chidushim. He rewrote on Chumash, on Megillas Esther and Megillas Rus. I want to share with you one amazing chidush of the Tzror Hamor. The Tzror Hamor writes, he says, I'm telling you now something, I'm going to reveal it to you. He writes this in Parsha Va'aschanan. This is something me'olam lo ra'isi v'lo shamati. I never saw, I never heard it. Mashenis Galilee, what was revealed to me, meaning he's saying he had divine inspiration. Why is the holiday called Chanukah? Is it because they rested on the 25th day? It should be then Chanu Bika. What's Chanu Chafei? Says Rabbi Avraham Saba, what if a person is very busy, very preoccupied, doesn't have any time to learn? What should a person do if they're so preoccupied they don't have time to learn? Well, what does the Gemara tell us? Afilu loikara kriya shema ela shachris va'arvis yatsa. Even if you just say Shema in the evening and the morning, you're yaitse. Because kriya shema is basically the cliff note version of Kol HaTorah Kula. The words of Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, they encapsulate the whole Torah. By the way, this is not the time, but there are many proofs that the mitzvah of Kriya Shema is a mitzvah of Talmud Torah. The mitzvah of saying Shema, that's why before we say Shema, we say Abba Rabba, we make Brachas HaTorah. Even, there are many proofs to this notion that the mitzvah of Shema is a mitzvah of Talmud Torah. Therefore, says Rabbi Avraham Saba, the Chashmonaim, who were running for their life, and they were so tarud, they didn't have time to learn. So how did they serve Hashem? Chanu, they were valiant, Chavhei, with the 25 letters of the Kriya Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. In fact, the Zohar HaKadosh writes, and he doesn't quote this, there are 24 letters in Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay Le'olam Va'ed. The Zohar says, when we complete the 24 letters of Baruch Shem, and we reach the Madrega of 25, the 25 letters of Shema, we reach the Yom Tov of Chanukah. At the end of Rabbi Avraham Saba's life, he was on a ship, and it was headed to Italy. And there was a terrible storm. And it threatened to capsize the boat. And the Chidah brings down the story in the Shem HaGdolim. Rabbi Avraham Saba was asked by the crew on the ship, they saw he was a holy man, please daven for the welfare of the ship that we should be saved. Rabbi Avraham Saba was old, he was weak, and he said, I may not survive back to shore. I will pray for the safe return of the ship if you promise me that you will bring me to Kever Yisrael. They promised him, he prayed, the storm stopped. It's Erev Yom Kippur. Rabbi Avraham Saba passed away on Erev Yom Kippur, and Rabbi Avraham Saba was brought to Kever Yisrael in Italy, in Valencia. So this is the tragic story of Rabbi Avraham Saba, and at the same time, the inspiring story of how he rewrote all his Chiddushim from memory. But I do want to share with you that I believe the story has somewhat of a happy ending. And that is Rabbi Avraham Saba had a son, Yitzchak. Yitzchak had a daughter. This girl went on to marry Maran Bet Yosef, the Beis Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo. So Rabbi Avraham Saba became the grandfather-in-law of Rabbi Yosef Karo. So at least through that, he's the foundation of the Shulchan Aruch Shekol Yisrael Nishan Alav. He Zichrei Baruch. We're going to the city of Porto, where Rabbi Avraham Saba ran away and wrote his Chidushim al HaTorah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.